Hey, Kerfuffle fans, welcome to another episode. Today I have a great guest. His name is Mario Payne. Now, we were talking a little bit before the show, Mario and I, and we have a little bit in common. Now, he does have one thing that'll kind of hurt us a little bit. He is a Bengals fan to all our listeners out there. So if you're not really about the Bengals, well, Mario's okay for a Bengals fan. He's not an Eagles fan like the rest of us. So anyway, without further ado, Mario, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And for all my Eagles fans, EAGLES Eagles.
Oh, thanks, Mario. So, it's great to have you on the show. We were talking a little bit before about you're in Florida. I'm in Florida. You're up in Jacksonville, and everybody knows I'm a Tampa transplant. So, what's it like up there in Jacksonville today?
It's beautiful. Like, this is the best time to be in Florida. It's not too hot. But it's not cold. You have like a little chill. For us, chill is like 75 to 80 degrees. So it's beautiful. And the best part about it is no state taxes, right? So
That's right.
Everybody come down to Florida, come down, you'll boost our economy and you don't have to pay state taxes. And the good thing about North Florida, and so we're North Florida, but most people call Jacksonville South Georgia because like we're literally closer to the tip of Georgia than we are like other parts of Florida, like you in Tampa Bay. But like the cost of living here is incredible compared to Tampa Bay, Orlando, Miami, that things are a lot more expensive. You get the Florida weather, you get the no state taxes in Florida. We're very close to Disney, but things are a lot more affordable here in Jacksonville compared to other parts of Florida.
So as you can tell, our friend Mario is definitely a financial advisor, and we'll be talking a little bit about that. So one of the things that really caught my eye, and thank you for your service, is that you were in the U.S. Army and you spent a little time in the sandbox.
I did. One of my biggest achievements is serving our country. So going through the process of high school, I know I wanted to go to college, but my parents couldn't afford. So like, well, how can I help my parents, but then go to college? I picked the Army. If you guys know the story about the U.S. Indianapolis, it was a warship in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It got bombed by the Japanese. It was 600 plus sailors on that ship. Only 98 people survived. My grandfather was one of them. He was in shark-infested waters for almost 2 weeks, which is crazy to think about. So without him, I wouldn't be here today, of course. My father was in the military, so I knew I was going to be in the military. It's just kind of what. So I joined the Army. I was a certified paper pusher. I am a lover, not a fighter. So I was a 71 Lima, which is a paper pusher, and it was great. So yes, as a reserve, I got active. I got activated in 2002. And then I was over in Kuwait for 9 months. And unfortunately, I had to leave earlier because ended up having a blood clot. So it's great. I mean, everything happens for a reason. Like the Lord works in mysterious ways. So I was playing basketball, thinking I'm Michael Jordan. I hurt my ankle. I had to have basically either a cast or a surgery. Whereas it was like doing some scans, they found a blood clot. And they basically said they had to remove my blood clot. They said if they didn't remove it, I may have died within 24 to 48 hours because it was accelerated. So without me hurting myself in basketball, I probably would have died over there of a blood clot. Nobody would have known about it. So like literally from a faith standpoint, huge believer in the Lord, I've been able to help thousands of people worldwide with helping them invest their money, save money on taxes. And it wouldn't be possible without my grandfather, having a will to survive, and then me hurt my ankle and then being found out I had a blood clot in the military. But military was great. Bought my first house using the VA of course, loan. The GI Bill paid for my college. It'll help pay for my daughter's college as well. So if anybody out there thinking about the military, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
So I'll tell you what, interesting story about the USS Indianapolis. Now, you're the second person that I've met that has somebody related to somebody at the Indianapolis. I actually met a widow of a lady about 15 years, a lady that was, her husband was on the Indianapolis about 15 years ago. And he was a survivor as well. And for those of you out there in the audience that don't know it, it's the Indianapolis is actually mentioned in the movie Jaws. They talk about it. The one fishing captain, I forget his character's name, was a survivor of the Indianapolis. So if you're a history geek or you're a history buff, go out and study the USS Indianapolis, the nuclear bomb or the atomic bomb that it took across the ocean, and it was, a secret thing and top secret. And that's why they spend all that time out in the ocean, because nobody knew where they were at. So it's amazing that your grandfather lives through that, and then you lived through a blood clot, and here we are, 20 some years later, and you're helping people out. So, I mean, there's so much, Mario, on your resume. I don't even know where to start. I mean, you got so much going on. So why don't we start at the beginning about your finances and your financial institution and your background?
Yeah. So I started as a financial advisor, basically straight out of college. And it's crazy. Again, the Lord works in mysterious ways. So I started in 2006. We know what happened in 2007 to 2008. So like me being new to the industry, I found out very, very quickly how people feel about their money and the psychology of money. So I started as a financial advisor with Edward Jones. I did that from 2007 to 2013. And then in 2013, I started my own investment firm. But 2 years in the business, the Great Recession in 2008 happened. And we had people with portfolios that basically went down by half, people losing their job. And like right then and there, I thought to myself, it has to be a way that you can invest people's money and make sure they're protected. And back then, it was all about putting you into a mutual fund, putting you into a fund, you just kind of hold it. But I thought, like, how can I trade my clients' money with a investment mindset? Meaning that we want your money to be invested for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, but have a trader's mentality that we don't buy and hold. We actually get into a stock if it's down and then get out that stock when it's going up. Truly buying low, selling high, which people think of, but in the industry of financial advisors, it was really buy and hold, because that was like the cliche. You buy it, you hold it for 30 years, you'll be a millionaire, right? So I kind of took that thought process and told myself, like, how can I do this from a larger scale? So my first 7 years in the industry at Edward Jones, just kind of learn the ropes, learn what people like about investing, what people don't like about investing, how to allocate portfolios. And then in 2013, that's when I started my own practice. Now today, we're one of the largest Black-owned investment firms in Florida. We're SEC registered. We manage hundreds of $millions of assets. We actually launched a fund on the stock market in 2022 with ETF, symbol LETB. And things are great. And it all came from, again, I don't know if I did not have that philosophy of like investing from a trader's mentality if it was not for 2007, 2008, because you had so many people that had their accounts go down. They just kind of held their money. Now today, they made their money back. I mean, the market has 4x'd since 2008. So people who made their money back. What if I sold it when it went down by 5%, and I bought back that when I bought back in when it was down by 30%? I would have a lot more money today. So kind of seeing people's struggles and their psychology of money like allowed me to kind of be where I am today from an investment standpoint.
So
but can I tell a story though?
Yeah.
Right. So before then, like when you're driving, you have that speed bump. Right. So I had a speed bump because my first job out of college was General Electric, and nothing against General Electric. They treated me good. I was an intern for them for 3 years in college. So they helped pay for me in college. Right. So, when I got hired for them, they hired me as a financial analyst. And one of my jobs was to save them money. My first project was 6 months. I saved them $4.1 million from like the financial analyst and kind of finding inefficiencies in their business. So they had like an announcement in the site that I was in Ohio, made an announcement. So I'm thinking I'm gonna get a raise, I'm gonna get a promotion, I'm gonna get something. I saved them $4 million. Now $4 million today is like 20 million. I mean, back then it's like $20 million today, right? Because of inflation.
Yep.
Mr. Kerfuffle, tell me, what did they give me for saving them $4 million? Guess what they gave me for saving them $4 million?
Pizza party.
Exactly. And I don't even like pizza. I don't even like pizza. And they gave me a pizza party. Not a promotion. Not a raise. Not a take a Thursday, Friday off. Not here's $100 to play golf because you think you're Tiger Woods. None of that. They gave me a pizza party. So right then there, I said, you know what? if I could find a way to save people money on my end, not for a company, that's what I want to do. And that right then and there is when I started applying to be a financial advisor. Two companies hired me, A.G. Edwards and Edward Jones. I picked Edward Jones. If I picked A.G. Edwards, I would have been kicked out of the business because they went belly up during 2008. So I just want to lay it out there. So I said it to say, everybody in a W-2 job, if you are saving your company money, it is ways for you to be an entrepreneur and do it yourself and make money like you're making a company, and life feels a lot better on the entrepreneur side than the W-2 side.
Well, isn't that there's like what was Jim Carrey said something along those lines? Is his father was a janitor or something, and his father could have been so much more, and take the risk, and he went, and Jim Carrey went up doing it. I forget the saying, but he talked about how you could do more about going into business. Now I'm an entrepreneur, just like you're an entrepreneur, and there's a lot of people out there teaching courses and stuff about being an entrepreneur, but the real thing about learning to run your own business outside of sales is how to manage your money. Most people get that first big check from that first big client, and they want to go out and they want to have the steak dinner and buy the brand new car and stuff like that. And I imagine you see a lot of that.
Too much of it. Too much of it. It's crazy. Even with like my clients, like everybody, quote unquote, is wealthy when you invest in the stock market, right? So you think about it. 71% of individuals invest in the stock market. So you have 30% of Americans that don't even invest in the stock market because they're just paying bills, right? They don't have any extra money. So just by you investing in the stock market, you're quote unquote wealthy. Now, wealth looks different than everybody. How I think about wealth is different than what you think about wealth, than your neighbor and my neighbor, right? We all think about something different, but investing, you already have wealth, but it's what you do with the money. But to your point, if you're making money and spending it, you're not able to get the fruits of your labor. I'm working all these hours. I have the ability to invest in my money. Why would I spend it? Why not allow it to grow and grow and grow? Einstein said compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. It's something that you don't see, but it allows you to be bigger than you are financially. And anybody who just lets their money grow and grow and compound, they're in way better shapes. I have blessed to have clients that play the NFL, 8 clients. Out of those 8 clients, 3 of them did what they were supposed to do. All 7 of the 8 are now retired. The 2 that did what they're supposed to do are a lot better off financially than the other 5 that was keeping up with the Joneses. And this is, people that had a couple clients on practice squad, a couple clients that, had multiple $1 million contracts. And it's just crazy how you want to keep up with the Joneses. And if you don't manage your money correctly, to your point, you're in trouble. I mean, I have, again, one of my clients is now a teacher. Like went from playing in the league to now going back to his hometown being a teacher. I mean, with the financial advisor, but because you spend your money. So you have to be financial disciplined. And again, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but like everybody, very important, 50, 30, 20. Y'all write this down. 50, 30, 20. That is the rule when it comes to managing your money. For every $100 that comes into your pocket, $50 should go towards basic bills, gas, groceries, mortgage, right? 30% goes to our wants. I want to take that vacation. Let's save over the year, right? And then the other 20% should go towards investing. Not that 20%, 5% in savings, 15% investing, right? We don't save for the future, we invest for the future. So the 50, 30, 20 rule. I bring in $100, $50 to basic bills, $30 to wants, and then the other $20 to savings and investing. You do that, you're a lot better off financially from a budgeting standpoint.
So if you're saying somebody, let's just say you're 22 years old and you have a job and you're making $1,000 a week bring home. You're saying that every week I should take $200 of that and put it towards my 401k or an IRA or an HSA or any type of investing, savings bonds, even U.S. savings. Well, maybe not U.S. savings bonds, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, okay. So now, do you want me to give you a corporate answer? Or do you want me to give you a real life answer for people that really scale their finances?
Real life answers, no
All right.
corporate stuff.
Yeah. So my biggest investment is my first house. Everybody needs to get out those apartments, get out those condos, buy a house. So if I'm 22, 23 years old, every single dollar I make should be going towards my first house. If I'm 22 and I buy a house at 30 and my rent is $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, over 8 years, I have spent $200,000 that I'll never get back. If I'm 22 and I buy my house at 25, that, my friend, is $100,000 of equity that grows and grows and grows. Now, when I'm 25, is it the best house in that neighborhood? Of course not. It's a fixer-upper. But then when I'm 30, I buy that nice house. And now my 25-year-old self has said, oh, thank you so much, because now I'm getting rental income. And I have another house that appreciates, because we don't want to sell that house. We want to keep it. So all that to say, if I'm 22, 23 years old, I'm not telling you to invest in anything in the stock market. We're putting everything into real estate. Now, most certified financial planners like myself will not tell you that, because certified financial planners, we get paid when you invest money with us.
Yep.
I look at things different. That's why I have a large practice, because we lean in through tax savings. Even though I'm a certified financial planner, all of our clients, we help with their taxes. We do tax strategies. I have internal CPAs that work for me. We have an external CPA firm that does our taxes. So we lean in with how to reduce your tax liability and what's going to make you the most money. So that 22, 23, 24-year-old person, we ain't invested in the stock market. We're putting money to the side to buy that first house. Now, when I'm 30 and I bought that first house, now in my second house getting rental income, then that's when we have a conversation about doing stocks, doing cryptocurrency. Those are the conversations we have, not when I'm 22 or 23 years old. No.
So now that brings up an interesting point, because a lot of these people we see are online are doomsday type of people, saying like, don't invest in real estate right now. Real estate's overinflated. The interest rates are too high, even though I think they just lowered them by a quarter point the other day. But people are saying, the real estate market is dead. It's a bubble. What's your take on that? Because again, I see all these doomsday peoples online all the time saying don't invest in it. But what's your take?
Yeah, clicks in the algorithm, because the algorithm makes us the money, right? Now it's just clicks. It makes no sense, right? It is always going to be people. And it's always not going to be land, right? Land is scarce. So real estate over time is going to go up. Just like the stock market, over time it's always going to go up. Companies are going to find ways to make money. They're going to have higher profit margins. They're going to make money. People said it about the stock market in 2008. They said it about the real estate market in 2008. Where are we at today? I wish I would have bought more real estate in 2008. I wish I would have bought more stocks in 2008. So no, it's not a bubble. It might feel like it now, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, we wish we bought a house in 2025. We wish we bought index funds in 2025. We ask any baby boomer who kept their house for the last 40 years, are they happy that they bought their house during a bubble 40 years ago, or are they upset?
Right.
Yeah. So no, it's just it's algorithm. It's just getting clicks. Like, nothing against Grant Cardone, but Grant Cardone makes his money on real estate, but then he tells people not to buy real estate, to rent. What? That is an oxymoron. It's not saying he's a hypocrite, but if that's not being hypocritical, what is? I'm making my living on real estate, but I'm telling you not to buy, to rent. That makes no sense. And the IRS, Uncle Sam, rewards you by doing real estate. See, the tax code was created for business owners. If I have rental property, I'm a business owner. We specialize in helping high earning W-2 employees get the most back from a tax standpoint. You don't do that by doing a 401k. It helps. But if I got $32,000, let's say I'm 30 years old. I get to put $25,000 in my 401k, which I want you to do. 25,000 to 401k, I make $100,000. My taxable income goes from 100,000 to 75,000. That feels good. That does feel good. But what if I use that $25,000 into a rental house? Now I get to write off all the repairs and everything associated. Probably writing off of between $40,000 to $60,000 that first year. So now from a taxation standpoint, I go from 100,000 to maybe 40,000. A lot less I don't pay taxes on. And if I do what we call a cost segregation study, where I have my depreciation not over 27 years, but over 5 years, I probably get all that money back in 2 years. So that $300,000 house, I get a $60,000 write-off for the next 5 years. That's a lot of money I can use to pay down the mortgage or build my real estate empire. So that is just a way for you to click and be clickbaited and help them drive up the algorithm.
What's your thoughts on HSA?
HSA is great. I have a story. They call it mommy makeovers. We call it a BBL. 4 years ago, I had a clients, right? Husband and wife, stay-at-home mom. He was working, he's an engineer, actually, software engineer in Houston. They had their third child, and we just wanted to find a way to kind of get more taxable decreases, right? So, well, let's do HSA. Because of HSA, you can put up to $8,300 if you're married, or $4,100 if you're single. It is the trifecta of taxes. I put money in, it's a tax deduction. So if I make $100,000, I put $8,000 in the HSA, I'm taxed on $92,000, not on $100,000. So tax deduction. It grows tax deferred. So when the money grows, I don't pay taxes as it's growing. But if it's used for any medication, surgeries, elective or not elective, I get to take it out all tax-free. Over a 3-year time period, they put in basically $24,000. It grew to $31,000. They took out $31,000 tax-free. And his wife got a mommy makeover or a BBL. Happy wife, happy life. Happy house is a happy spouse. So they was able to use the tax code to their advantage. They got over 3 years, $24,000 of tax deductions. And then they had $7,000 of tax-free growth. They took it out, didn't pay taxes on it. So HSA is great to have.
That's good, because a lot of people don't know about HSAs. Actually, I never discovered HSAs till about maybe, I don't know, about 5 years ago. My accountant's like, hey, why don't you do an HSA? I said, what the heck is an HSA? And I had to research it. And at the time I was single. Now I'm married. So, we put it in together, but it's one of those best kept secrets in the financial. Most people in the financial world, most people don't know it. And there's a lot of companies that don't handle HSAs, like Edward Jones, I don't think does HSAs. I think most people go to like Fidelity or something like that, or
Yeah. And so again, you got to follow the money, right? It's like, walk to the Wizard of Oz, follow the Yellow Brick Road. You got to follow the money. So to your point, a lot of financial institutions don't offer it. So their financial advisors or their certified financial planners aren't pushing it. Like, again, as a certified financial planner that has a very large client base that leans in from a tax standpoint, like, we want you to save money. And when you save more money, you make more money, you increase your net worth. Like, our motto is we want to decrease your tax liability and increase your net worth. So yes, if we put our money in the HSA up to $8,000, we get the same write-offs as it going to a 401k. We can invest in the same things. So we're investing money, but unlike a 401k, and I love 401ks. I built my business on 401k rollovers. So we're not anti-401k, but just from a tax standpoint, the first $8,000 might be better to put into the HSA, because if we can take it out, we all going to have something happen medically, right? Our kid sprains their ankle, right? Got to get a cast. That's a $4,000 bill. HSA pays for that tax-free before age 59 and a half, not like a 401k. So it's so many advantages. So the conversation we have now, to have an HSA account, you have to have a high deductible health insurance plan. So some people don't offer that. They offer PPOs, HMOs. So not all employers offer that. But if they do offer that, we typically have a conversation. Let's put the full $4,100 or the full $8,300 first, before we do the 401k after our match. You want to do it your match, right? Because it's free money. If you don't do your company match in your 401k, in the words of DJ Khaled, you're playing yourself, right? You want to do that because it's free money that you'll never get back. But besides that, anything extra going into our retirement plan, we should be looking at our HSA, because unlike the 401k where we might penalize and we take the money out, we have to pay taxes. HSA, we don't pay taxes, and everybody's going to have a medical event. It happens. It's life.
And speaking about 401k, what a lot of people don't know is that when you're self-employed, you can have an owner K if you don't have any employees or such, and you can actually, as self-employed, you can match your own deposits. So if you take so much out a month and whatever the allotted is for the year, and you put it in, but then your company can match or add to it, can it?
Yep. Owner K, solo K. So as a small business employee, kind of two things you can do. You can do like the 401k route, which is with ERISA, right? So basically ERISA is the government kind of telling you what you can do. Not saying it's a bad thing, but you have to pay for a 401k. Or you can do a SEP IRA, SEP IRA. So with a SEP IRA, we'll start with the SEP IRA first, because you have more control. You can't put as much in, but you have more control as a employer. So as a SEP IRA, you can put up to $69,000 a year. Now with the SEP IRA, the up to $69,000 a year, or 25% of your money that comes in. So let's say my business made $100,000, right? I can do up to $25,000 a year, because it's 25%. It's what's either lower, not higher. It's not like my company makes $100,000, I could do $69,000. That's on the higher end. You only do whatever's lower up to $69,000. But then the good thing about the SEP IRA, you have more control. So let's say, you think you're going to do 25,000, which is 25%, but you do less. Like you're not holding to a number like you are with the solo 401k. So you have more control. If you have a not so good year, or a year is not as good, you can do less. So that's the SEP IRA. The solo 401k, or the owner 401k that you're talking about, you can actually put up to $167,000 in that if you structure things from a solo 401k, then a profit share where you're sharing the profits, right? So you can do actually up to $167,000 a year in that. That is huge. If I'm making $300,000 and I put up to $167,000, my tax liability is now what, $140,000? Me paying tax on $140,000, not on $300,000. Then, of course, you're paying yourself a salary that decreases your tax liability. You're an S corp, right? So then the other amount that's in the business, you get the right 20% off QBI because of the big beautiful bill. 20% QBI. So yes, so an owner 401k or a solo 401k allows you to really pay yourself in your 401k and allows you to decrease your tax liability. But like I said, it does go through ERISA. So it is rules you got to pay. You got to pay a 401k company to adhere by those rules. So it's going to cost you more out your pocket. But if you're putting in more than $69,000, then yes, not a recommendation, but information, a solo 401k or owner 401k, might be the way to go.
So now talking about, you had mentioned it a little bit earlier, you actually had an AI EFT.
Yes.
Now, this is something that's striking as interesting because AI is taking over the world. Everywhere you look is AI. And now you have an AI EFT. What's this about? I'm generally intrigued about this.
Yeah. So shouts out to the Let Bob team. So my business partner basically was creating a trading algorithm on TradingView years ago. I think he started like in 2017. I got introduced to him in 2019. And so, he had like an algorithm, but he's trying to find a way like to introduce it to the masses. Right. So I'm kind of going through the process. We created an app, and you could download that on the App Store today. The app is Let Bob, LETBOB. Where at that time, we were basically trading your money with algorithms. And the algorithms is basically a computerized program that's automated. It's not like this big old thing. It's just computerized, electronic computerized problem that's basically automated. So then we said, okay, well, how can we do this to the masses? Well, since I am again certified financial planner, I have my Series 24 from a compliance standpoint, so I can run my own fund because of my licenses. I'm not just like a talking head on YouTube. I'm not a guru in real life. I'm real in real life, right? So we kind of went through the process. And yeah, so we had like this great idea. Well, let's launch a fund, right? The minimum now different ETF companies have different minimums, but we chose they're called advisor shares. The biggest fund is YOLO, YOLO, and that's the medical marijuana space. That's the biggest fund. So we kind of pitched to them what we want to do, and they say yes, like they'll do it for us. We're able to kind of license it and launch it through them. It took about a year and a half, doing your prospectus, doing your red herring letter, going through the process, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. We found the symbol LETB, and we launched it in 2022. Perfect timing, because when we launched it, really that's when the market started going down. So we kind of launched that as high. So it was just a great process, frustrating process, but just a great process of managing money. But on the flip side, because there's pros and cons to everything, what we did not know is that so we had, of course, we kind of thought what the cost would be, but once you kind of launch the fund, what's the extra costs associated with it? It's very expensive. And our goal was to basically raise about 75 million. And after we raise 75 million in the fund, then we'd be at the point where we'd be breaking even. Because of what happened in 2022, the market, we had some gentleman agreements with some large financial institutions that they would actually help fund it as well. So between everyday people buying the fund and those large institutions, we get over the $75 million mark. I never hit the $75 million mark. And then, do we pay $250,000 a quarter to keep this on the market, or do we delist it? So we made a decision last year to delist it. We still have the symbol, and whenever we raise that 75 million, we'll put it back on the market. But as of today, you can definitely look at it. LETB is there, but a person can't buy it. Another thing I learned, so when you're trading like yourself or with my firm, with my clients, we're able to kind of buy and sell whenever we want to. When you have a fund, you have what you call market makers. So like, even though it was all automated where our algorithms picked a stock, when to buy, when to sell, when we had that buy sell, that buy signal or that sell signal, it gets sent to them, but we're at the mercy of them when they're going to do it. So we might say, hey, sell something at 950. It might not be sold till later that day. Well, it might be a 2, 3, 4, 5% drop. That's where we had a sell signal. We have a buy signal at like 10 o'clock. They might not buy it until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We missed out on 1 or 2% growth. That does not seem like that much, but over the course of 200 trading days throughout the year, that is a lot of missed signals. So our performance internally was a lot better than the actual performance of the ETF because of those market makers. So, but lesson learned. It was a great lesson. Got pictures. I got to say, I got a foot on the market still, which is cool. What financial advisor who says that?
Right.
I am. Yeah. But it's pros and cons. So like anything in life, like you can have successes, no successes. I never say it's a failure because we didn't fail. I mean, I launched the fund on the market, me and my business partner and the Let Bob team. So that's not a failure at all. But definitely it was a lesson learned. So if and when we go through that process again, we'll definitely be well equipped to get, instead of a gentleman's handshake with financial institutions, things in writing. So them pledging how much they're gonna, put in, so we can hold them accountable, and then also, how we can do a better job with those market makers.
So, what are the big stocks you're seeing right now?
Oh, so I have to say, past performance does not guarantee future results, right? And as a fiduciary, this is information, not a recommendation. But cybersecurity is big right now, and also quantum computing. I look at quantum computing as where chips were 7 years ago. A person bought $1,000 worth of NVIDIA 7 years ago. They're sitting like a king or a queen. They're like everybody right now in England, kissing the ring and that big old table with all the dignitaries with all the money. They'd be like them because they'd be such in better shape, right? That's where we are with quantum computing. Quantum computing allows you to basically do like pi and other mathematical equations in milliseconds. I think when quantum computing gets bigger and it is introduced to the world on a larger scale, and we have now the chips like NVIDIA, like AMD to power those servers, we're going to have cures of more diseases. Because from a healthcare standpoint, a lot of that stuff is trial and error, right? And so trial and error takes a long time. It takes a lot of calculations, and the computer servers can do those calculations now. With quantum computing, we can maybe have 2 or 3 trial and error experiments in a week turn into 100 to 200. So now a lot more trial and error happens before things get experimented or actually kind of put into the public, right? So I think it's going to help us maybe even cure cancer one day, to slow down Alzheimer's, which, my father passed away to that very, very nasty disease. Like when they find ways, the molecular structure of the medication, how that's going to help your brain, if they could find a way and a cure for that, it's going to be so much money being made. And from an infrastructure standpoint, the infrastructure is quantum computing. The gold rush. A lot of people made money trying to find gold. A lot of people didn't make money. But everybody who had a pick and a shovel, they made money. If you found gold or didn't find gold, quantum computing is the pick and shovel like chips were 7 years ago. So what do I see the future? I look at myself as a futurist because past performance does not guarantee future results. So that's the future from a stock standpoint, in my humble opinion, quantum computing. Now, if you want me to tell you how to get to the bag, we want to get to the bag through concentration, because concentration builds wealth and diversification preserves wealth. That concentration between quantum computing and chips is also cryptocurrency. Now, yes, Mario, you're a financial advisor. Financial advisors don't talk about cryptocurrency because they cannot, because they have compliance departments, and compliance departments are slow like dinosaurs to things. Right? Just right now, a little 2 months ago, Morgan Stanley finally said that their financial advisors can recommend 2% of a client's portfolio into cryptocurrency. 2%? That's crazy. Now, diversification is good. So I never recommend no more than 20% of anything, So I'm not saying go YOLO in cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin, the fastest growing asset class, is the asset class, not speculation anymore. Right? Because it is now like a commodity, like gold, right? The Genius Act, the Clarity Act, all those 3 acts that was passed 3 months ago by Congress. IBIT, the largest growing ETF in history. Thank you, Larry Fink of BlackRock. The largest growing ETF in history, symbol IBIT. You think the largest money management company in the world, BlackRock, who owns 7% of all the wealth, they made a bet on Bitcoin? You think it's going anywhere? When we have a crypto, when states like Louisiana and Texas are doing a cryptocurrency reserve, when countries like China that 3 years ago didn't believe in it, now is buying Bitcoin in droves, you think that's going down or going up? Now, yes, Bitcoin is like this. The stock might be like this up and down. Bitcoin is a lot more, Stretch Armstrong, just all over the place, right? But still, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, in my humble opinion, not a recommendation, but information, I believe the big 4, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana is going to outperform the market dramatically. If Cathie Wood is correct, and she's been right with a lot of things. I know they give her flack because her stuff's been down, and she sold NVIDIA at an all-time high, crazy, whatever. But if Cathie Wood's correct and Bitcoin hits $1 million a coin by 2030, you want to talk about growth. Let me ask you a question. How many people today, household-wise, own Bitcoin? Just guess.
3%.
6%.
6%.
It was 3% last year until IBIT came out. IBIT, and then for y'all Fidelity fans, symbol FBTC for Fidelity. Not a recommendation, it's information. Doubled in 1 year. That was before the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, the Bitcoin reserve that we have now. That was before XRP beating the case. Like they was with the feds, but they beat the case, right? Ripple and XRP. Imagine 5 years from now. Come November, everybody with a 401k with Fidelity, you could buy Bitcoin because Fidelity has their own Bitcoin fund. Anybody with Vanguard, you'll be able to buy the Vanguard ETF tied to Bitcoin in your 401k. You think that's going to lower the price of Bitcoin or raise the price? Bitcoin right now at approximately $117,000 a coin today is a steal compared to where it's going to be 5-10 years from now. Now, yes, it's going to go up and down. It might go back down to 90. But when it gets to 200,000 a coin in the next year, we're going to feel very, very good. When it gets to $1 million a coin, I don't think it's going to be in 2030. I think closer to 2030, 35. I mean, 2035. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it goes up quicker than that. That is a 8x return on your money. I love stocks. A stock can give you no 8x return, unless we're in quantum computing right now. But yeah, so long story short, those four: cryptocurrency, quantum computing, and chips, I think over the next 5, 10, 15 years, that is the new industrial revolution. And I wish I was the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, right? In the Biltmore, drinking wine, having fun in the early 1800s when I started building railroads. You have that railroad opportunity. The question is, are you going to take advantage of it?
Now, what's your thoughts on REITs?
Great way to be in real estate without being in real estate. So real estate investment trust, you getting, again, past performance is a guaranteed future results, but a real estate investment trust is basically like buying a strip mall, but you're not actually buying a strip mall. You're having a company buy it for you. You're getting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, sometimes 12 to 13% interest. That's not a bad thing at all, right? However, again, we go back to real estate. You don't get the tax write-offs buying a REIT like you do if it was real estate yourself. So yes, I might get a real estate investment trust when I have to do any of the work and I'm getting, let's say, 10% return on my money. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. I'm saying hypothetically, right? That's good. If I dump $100,000 in it, I'm not getting $100,000 write-off. If I buy a property that's worth $300,000, I dump $100,000 in that, I'm getting all $300,000 of write-offs if I do a cost segregation study, right? Everything that has to be involved in the running of that house, I get the write-off. And now, since I have a business, my house, which is my home office, my electricity, I get to write off some of that bill. I can't run a business without electricity. My internet that I'm spending anyways, I get to write off some of that bill. I can't run a business without the internet, right? So I could do the Augusta rule where I have a board of directors and I have a meeting every 4 weeks saying about how great my rental property is. And I get more write-offs. So real estate investment trust for a person that wants to be hands-off, but be in real estate, great. But if you want to take advantage of the IRS, allowing you to run your day-to-day finances and giving you money back to it, real estate investment trust might not be the best. Find your own real estate, hiring a property manager, just like you're hiring them, hiring a property manager, which is a tax write-off. So you don't have to do the day-to-day operations. That's what I would lean my clients towards, not a real estate investment trust.
So I see also that you're kind of loosely associated with Dave Ramsey. And you do a little bit of the is it the snowball effect they call it with Dave Ramsey or something? What's your take with Dave and the positions he takes on debt and all that other stuff?
Yeah. So like like in the Bible, like Saul turned to Paul in the road of Damascus. Like I had that 3 years ago. So nothing against Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, I was a smart Vesta Pro. I was highlighted on his website for about 8 years. Got a lot of clients from Dave Ramsey and his teachings and seeing me on his website and then people using me. So nothing against Dave Ramsey. But definitely my thoughts about using debt is different today than where it was 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. Yes, it's good debt and bad debt, but I am huge on people getting debt. So just from a debt standpoint, I tell everybody, every single thing that you do that was going out of your account from a debit card standpoint should be on a credit card. Because if I got money in the bank to have it taken out my debit card, still not be able to pay that off with my credit card, we set up all of our clients on a week-to-week basis have your bill, your credit card bill automatically paid with the money at your account. So as I'm swiping, going pumping gas, I'm swiping, going to get something to eat, I'm swiping. I tell everybody, do not put anything on a debit card. You're not getting points. You're not building your credit. Companies make money off of other people's money. That's called credit. That's called debt. So yeah, so nothing against Dave Ramsey, but like my thought process about debt, like for years, I always did stuff out of my, and luckily enough, I had a high credit score because I had a mortgage, had my business. I paid off my office, but still, I had a mortgage on my business, mortgage on my house, so I have over 800 credit score, right? Great. But from a debt standpoint, if I would have leveraged that, a lot more assets in my name. So I tell people, love Dave Ramsey, but if you can afford to pay for something on your debit card, put on your credit card, and every single week, have it automatically where whatever you owe gets paid off with the money from your bank that would have been on your debit card anyways. So that's that from a debt standpoint. Now the snowball effect. The snowball effect, huge fan of. If we do have debt and we can't pay it off, the first thing you want to do is get you a interest-free card for 12 months, because having let's say a $10,000 balance that's charging me 20% a year, that's $2,000 a year I'm paying on top of my $10,000. Well, if I can get credit card or credit cards at 0% interest, it gives me a longer time frame to pay it off, right? So now if I do that interest-free credit card and pay off the balance, I'm good. Now I have up to a year to pay it off. But if I can't do that, then yes, if you have, let's say 3 credit cards, all at a $10,000 balance, one is 30%, one is 15%, one is 20%. We pay the minimum balance on the ones that are charging us the least amount of money. And then whatever's left over, we try to max out paying the one that has that 30%. Because I don't want to pay credit card company anything, but I'd rather pay the credit card company, $500 of interest throughout the year, not $3,000. So I pay the minimum for the lower ones, and then I do whatever I can to pay the large one off. Then once that's done, all the money I was using and the minimum for the second card, I pay the second card off. But then the first one, the last one I pay off last. But to kind of power through that, you want to try to get another credit card that's 0% interest and pay it all off. Then it'll give yourself a year or 6 months or 9 months or 18 months to actually pay it off. And that's why I'm big on funding. So like we have, I have a referral program with one of the largest funding companies in America that help people get funding or use CDFIs, which are basically nonprofit credit unions that you might not have the best credit, but they're not going to charge you 30% interest. They might charge you 4 or 5% interest for like 4 or 5 years. So the people that's kind of in between a bad credit score and a good credit score, like I got a 600, not a 700. Like those types of individuals, you can go through funding companies that they charge a commission to get the funding. But again, I'd rather you pay like not to me, but like an 8% commission to them and get some type of product for 2 or 3 years that's interest free and use that to pay off those large credit cards, so that it gives you some wiggle room to pay things off. That's a long-winded answer, but I'm big on credit. And I definitely saw the light. Nothing against Dave Ramsey is great. What he's done for me and my business, huge. What he's done for America and getting people out of debt is huge. So this is not anti-Dave Ramsey, but anti all debt is bad debt. I don't believe that at all.
So aside from credit cards, what is a good type of debt that you can leverage? I mean, a lot of people see what's a Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, that type of thing with real estate. So real estate debt is good debt for an investor or something like that?
Yes. That's the best debt because you have a tangible asset. Like in my opinion, whatever that's worth, like the value of a house is always going to go up over time. Now, over time is different people's time frame, right? When I say over time, I look at things like 20, 30 years. I think of things long term. Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome was demolished in a day, but it wasn't built in a day, right? So I think of things long term. So when we have that debt, the value of the house is going to go up eventually. So as long as you just kind of pay those minimums, right? Just pay the balance. And again, from a tax standpoint, especially if it's rental property, it's a tax write-off. You are able, that property by itself is not getting you all the tax deductions. That's a part of it. We have rental property. Everything that we do, like I talked about before, is a tax deduction. We are allowing the IRS to help us pay our bills by just having that rental income. So that is the best debt to have, in my opinion, is real estate. Credit cards, it's good debt, but it's not as good debt because there's nothing tangible there, right? Real estate, we know. And so something crazy happens where you have to sell it, you sell it, and whatever you get, right? So great debt is real estate. Now, when it comes to like what should I leverage? Anytime we're doing a deal, I like a person to do a refi. So I say buy low, sell high is good, but borrow low and never sell is better. The rich, the wealthy, the elites, why don't they pay taxes? Because they borrow against their assets, they borrow against their stocks, they borrow against their real estate. They pay interest, they get to write off. But the money that they get, you don't pay taxes on the loan, right? So doing those types of strategies allows you to make money, have write-offs, and then use that extra capital to grow.
So if you could rewind the clock and go back and talk to a young Mario, say 17, 18 years old, way before the military in high school, what is some advice you'd give the younger Mario out the gate?
Yeah. So I'm always upfront and transparent. The younger Mario didn't have information in like the internet, social media, YouTube like they have now. Like you can learn so much more today because I'm 43 years old. 20 years ago when I was 23, I couldn't learn as much as quickly as I could today. So everybody who is young has an advantage that I did not have growing up, that you did not have growing up, that some of your audience that's in our age group did not have. So first off, take advantage of your advantage. Take advantage. So that's number one. Number two, I would strongly recommend a person getting a coach or a mentor. I've been blessed to have a large firm and help people, but like the last 3 years, it's been just a large amount of scaling my business because of me having a mentor. Now you can have an unpaid mentor and a paid mentor. Having an unpaid mentor is like having a corporate job. The unpaid mentor got to show you around the ropes because it helps them check off a box to get promoted at the job. They're not really trying to help you. They're trying to advance their career. A paid mentorship is the way to go because when you're paying somebody, your success is their success because they want you to continue to pay them year after year. It's life. It is what it is. Number two, testimonials, and positive testimonials gets them more business quicker without them having to spend money marketing, compared to negative testimonials will have them lose people from a renewal standpoint. And then number three, they have done it already. So you get to learn from their mistakes without you going through the same mistakes. The worst financial decision I made, and I'm on a tangent, but I'm just going to tell you, the worst financial decision I made was buying a 18-wheeler. I bought an 18-wheeler because from a tax standpoint, I was going to be able to use that and write it all off, which I have. And then everything attached to it, I wrote it off. 3 years down the road, $83,000 later, I have made about $10,000 when I spent $83,000. Yeah, I have $83,000 of write-offs. I didn't do it for a write-off. I do it to grow. I didn't have a coach, right? So I tell people to get a coach. I should have found a person that that had a fleet of people, that was not a driver, because drivers make money in the trucking industry, not the people that own the fleet. Learning how to find a driver, how to get with a company, how to barter the insurance where I'm not paying all the insurance and the company that's using my truck is not. Like learning those types of things would have saved me so much money. So I say that to say, get a paid coach, get a paid mentorship, learn from them what to do, but more importantly, learn from them what not to do. And that's going to make them excel a lot quicker.
So you have a podcast and you do shows and you're all over social media. If I'm a fan of the kerfuffle, or, I stumble upon this podcast here, where's some good places that we can find you at so we can follow along? I mean, you've just given us so much information, and I'm sure on your podcast, you break this stuff down a little bit better, but is there a place that we can go and find you and, maybe hook up with you or at least follow you?
Yeah. My work my giving the Lord's value without charging anything is my YouTube. I post something every single day, stories about conversations with clients, then there's kind of in general what's going on. That's Painful Profits, Payne, because my last name's Payne, Payneful Profits. So Painful Profits, Payneful Profits, because our profits can sometimes be painful, but we still make profits. So that's my YouTube at Painful Profits, my Instagram as well at Painful Profits, my TikTok for all y'all young kids out there at Painful Profits. For the older people like me, Facebook, Mario Payne, and LinkedIn is Mario Payne as well. So either my name, Mario Payne, or at Painful Profit. That's where you find me. This is me. I woke up in the morning time, like I said, the Lord blessed me with life. If I didn't sprain my ankle, I wouldn't be here today because they wouldn't have found a blood clot. If my grandfather didn't brave shark-infested waters for almost 2 weeks, I wouldn't be here today. So I am as happy as go lucky as you see me now. I'm even more happy go lucky because I'm happy to be alive. So I give as much value, as much content as I can, and all the content I give, prayerfully I'll be rewarded when I get to heaven.
So, Mario, one last question during the show is who's going to the Super Bowl this year?
Well, again, I'm a Bengals fan. I mean, we lost Joe Burrow for the next 3 months, but we have a chance to go 3-0 this week. As long as we get to the playoffs, I think we actually will go because our defense is better than what they were last year. Our offense is basically unstoppable. So yeah, if we're able to get to the playoffs with a backup quarterback, I think that says a lot. I think Kansas City is going down. Baltimore's offense. I mean, offense is amazing. Defense not the best. And Buffalo, they always choke in the playoffs. So yeah. Now on the NFC side, it's hard to stop the Eagles. I mean, I said that one of my best friends is an Eagles fan. So I hear from him every single day about the Eagles. But the Eagles look unstoppable, especially they don't ban the tush push. They let you guys have a 3rd and 2 and you just fall forward for 2 yards every single time. You guys are, I mean, it's unstoppable. So I don't see a person beating Philadelphia the way you guys are going right now, unless Hurts or Barkley gets hurt, which perfectly that does not happen. So maybe a Bengals-Eagles Super Bowl.
There you go.
That would be the not the Kelsey. So Travis Kelsey, he went to school at Cincinnati, and then he of course plays for the Chiefs. So, but no, the brother went to his brother went to Cincinnati too. But yeah, that would be great though. That would be great. I don't know what the Super Bowl is, but I definitely will be there. I went to the Super Bowl when the Bengals played the Rams at their stadium. That was a great experience. So I've been blessed because of what I do for a living. I've been able to kind of build wealth, whatever that looks like. So I've been to all the national championship games for Ohio State that I've been alive for. That's always been cool. I'm a Liverpool fan. If you're soccer fans, I actually went to Liverpool when they won, when they raised the trophy this past year. That was cool, but it was nothing like a Super Bowl. Maybe because the halftime show was Snoop and Eminem, and that was amazing myself. But like it was nothing like the Super Bowl.
You're dating yourself with the Snoop and Eminem stuff.
Yeah, I know. You see the gray hair. I'm 43, man. I'm 43, and I thank God every single day for it. So yeah.
Mario Payne, it has been great having you today on the Kerfuffle podcast. If you guys are out there listening to Mario, reach out to him. We're going to leave the links to his websites and his social media in our description box below, but also check out our weekly newsletter. Make sure you go to subscribe to that. Reach out to Mario, even if you just have some questions about financial issues or something, or maybe you want to talk to him about helping you out and reaching your goals. He's a very intelligent guy. He's a good guy. Like I said, we were talking a little bit before the show, and he seems like the type of guy that is going to take care of his clients the best that he can, and he's definitely put his foot forward. And as a veteran, he knows the meaning of sacrifice and of service, and everything that he's done for our country and his family's done for our country. So if you like what you saw, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell below. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're also on TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Odyssey. We're all over the place. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple iTunes, as well as iHeartRadio and Stitcher. And until next time, have fun storming the castle.